Boys, girls, and everyone else, welcome back to another Diablo Immortal video. In this one, I want to talk about the best current challenge dungeon build for the wizard. All right, before we get back into today's video, I do want to give a very special shout out to the sponsor of today's video, which is going to be none other than Warcraft Rumble. Thank you so much, Warcraft Rumble, for sponsoring today's video. Now, if you guys haven't already and you didn't know, Warcraft Rumble is totally free to play and constantly pushing huge new updates to the game. In fact, they're adding new minis and leaders seemingly all the time. In fact, I feel like I can't even keep up with all the new minis that I have access to, and you actually get access to a ton of them, if not all of them, totally for free throughout their new in-game events. Now, one of my favorite limited time minis, which was the first time they ever did this, was actually in their recent Halloween event where we had access to getting the Headless Horseman. The Headless Horseman is not tied to the Warcraft franchise, which was actually very unique and also opens the door to getting new minis like this that aren't necessarily tied to the IP, but can also be a fun new addition to the game. Because personally, I love playing as either the Horde or the Alliance, with like one of my favorite leaders being Jaina, but now I can have the Headless Horseman, a very huge icon in its own way, added to my fancy decks. And honestly, he is a beast and super fast. Now, again, you have Sylvanas. This is another one, and she just recently changed to be a hybrid leader or a split leader, where she is both a leader of the Horde and the Undead, just like she is in the Warcraft or World of Warcraft game. And honestly, she is by far probably one of my favorite Horde leaders, and I get to play as her in game, and boy howdy is her new kit phenomenal. But that's a video for a different time. Once again, thank you so much to Warcraft Rumble for sponsoring today's video, and I really hope you guys take my advice, download the game right now using the link in today's description. I hope to see you guys in a video soon, and now let's get back to the video. Now, you guys know that I've been on my wizard for off and on for a hot minute. I absolutely love this class, and I finally found a build that I find to be useful in all of the different affixes that you get in the random dungeon finder. So we're gonna go ahead and random queue, and I'll show you the build in action. We'll sort of talk through it while we're running it, and then I'll show you the full build at the very end. Now, the reason I hesitate on all affixes is that there is one that makes it so you lose health whenever you use a skill. Combat orbs drop more frequently. Big problem. Enemies are larger throughout the dungeon. The player size is decreased. Bosses will continue to grow until they enrage. Cool. So pretty straightforward build. Okay. But yeah, honestly, it does the job majestically, and it does do a ton of damage. So very, very good for us. Now, it also has some survivability in it, so it's just cooking, bro is just cooking. But what it doesn't do is when you do have that affix that makes it so you have to use your primary attacks, it's not good for that. So it obviously, because we're using skills mainly in this build, that's why it doesn't work for that affix, but it works for literally all other affixes that I've seen so far, and it's very easy to utilize. You can see that my main goal is just to put my physical body on, like, in the middle of the cluster of the baddies, you know, and then just sort of spin and win, and then just keep primary attacking. So there is an element to primary attack, which makes it also good for single target boss fights, but it's not amazing for that one affix, like I said, where you have to basically not do anything except primary attack. But obviously you would just make a primary attack build for that, and then just save it in your armory, and then hopefully you have the trait armory trait pet, so you can switch on the fly, because that's really the only way you're gonna live through that challenge dungeon, or just quit and find a new one. But this one is super good. You can see the damage is quite competitive, like extremely competitive, which is fantastic, and it even holds its own when it comes time for the boss, which you'll see when we summon the butcher. We're actually getting some damage over here on Noah, so let's make that go away. Now, the reason we want to put ourselves in the middle of all of the craziness is because the electrocute will actually spin, get additional orbs on critical hits. So we want to make sure that we are always hitting multiple enemies as much as possible. But then we also have ice armor, which helps us from taking unnecessary damage. So I was gonna ult here. I'll just save it for the boss, I guess, like the real boss. You can see the butcher's not being, I mean, he's bigger in size technically, but you can see that it's still not the end of the world. And because we have our ice armor, we have some pretty phenomenal survivability, which is very helpful in almost all of the challengers, since they have more health and everything. Obviously, you don't stay in bad with it, but considering it's a very squishy class, the wizard, now being able to do literally just put yourself physically in the middle of everything is pretty fantastic. Now, what it doesn't have is movement. So it is not a fast build because we have literally no movement. It is just focused on, look at all the orbs. It is focused on doing as much damage as possible. especially AoE damage, but then also maintaining its value with single targets. So we're gonna finish off this dungeon here. You can see that me and Abyss, is he the Tempest? Yeah, he's the Tempest. Tempests are good in general, but especially like this. There's another wizard who looks like they're using the similar build. Looks like they're not necessarily doing as much damage, but you can see that we are still very, very competitive in the damage meters, which I wish we could have like the full team damage meter so you could see where everyone was at. But honestly, this will do. That'll do, donkey. That'll do. But yeah, so this should be good for us. Lots of damage on multiple enemies. That's when our damage is just going to sort of ramp up, whereas the Tempest is doing more damage to like single target. And again, I can't stress it enough. The survivability of this build is phenomenal. We are using the Slinger Paragon tree. You could, no, I mean, I would still use, well, you could use the new one, Slayer, and use the shield one since we are using a shield and frost armor. But I think I get enough value out of Slinger to do it this way. So got an ult, get some big boy damage. Again, just dodging things that need to be dodged. 5 head. And then we are almost done with the dungeon. Boss phased. Almost died there. That would have been fun. Okay, last little bit. And also this is like I had that raid build that I've shown you guys a few times that just like breaks my arm because of how fast you have to hit your buttons. I also had somebody comment that it hurts their thumb when they do it too, so I'm glad I'm not the only one that suffers with that build, but this one does not require you to smash your buttons as fast, so it's actually better for your forearm and or thumb. But again, this one is actually the same build that I will be using on Vanguard because it does have the survivability with ice armor. And in the new Vanguard mode, you don't need to have a lot of movement anyway, as you're just usually escorting that siege weapon. So this is perfect for that. Again, you get survivability, AoE damage, and you get some single target damage. So all is good. So we're gonna finish this boss off, and I'll show you the full build in details. Almost dead, and boom. Again, that Tempest is gonna outshine us in single target. Oh, we got another green. Also, I don't know about you guys, but when it comes to challenge dungeons, I feel like I'm getting way more greens. Almost every single run, I feel like I'm getting a green, which is pretty sick. Obviously not every single time I do a challenge dungeon, but literally most of the time I'm getting a green. So let me go ahead and identify that. So the build is as follows. So for the headpiece, it is a autumnal crest, which is slow time now, surrounds you with a static field that follows you, damaging and applying shock to all nearby enemies, which is a very important part of this build. Isolated Storm is the second one, which is also going to give us that AoE damage. Lightning Nova now calls a lightning orb to orbit you, dealing lightning damage to enemies it hits. Lightning Nova damage is increased. Okay. Filter Defense, which is going to be a disintegrate, now surrounds you with a entropy field that follows you, damaging and making nearby enemies vulnerable to critical hits. So now we are doing two things that do electrical damage, and now we're making them sensitive to critical hits. Keep that in mind. Greaves of the Firmament, which is, I pass it. Disintegrate deals 7,993 damage, additional damage every 3 hits. So as you hit the same target 3 times, you do additional damage to it, which we're going to be doing a lot of since we're literally just going to be standing in the middle of all of their juicy goodness. Score Cut is going to give us disintegrate range increased by 29%. Hailstone is the one that gives us the ice armor, now protects you with 6 charges that each absorb 56k damage each. And then we're using Nick of Time, which is slow time radius increased by 29%. So now we get those big juicy circles. And this is where it all sort of ties together with the last offhand. Trifling Rifle, which is going to make it so when Lightning Nova hits a shocked enemy, it unleashes another Lightning Nova. So again, Lightning Nova is those balls that are spinning around. Basically, whenever Lightning Nova hits a shocked enemy, it will spawn another ball to circle me, which is why I want to maintain as close vicinity to everyone else as I can and put myself directly in the middle, pop that ice armor, spin to win. Juicy. And then for the set gear, I think I'm still rocking my Inferno 3 gear because I'm still farming out all of my new greens for Inferno 4, but I'm using a 4-piece Bethuse and a 4-piece Banquet. You could probably use a Grace, which would be a lot better than the Banquet, but to each their own. Again, I'm literally trying to farm out all of my different two set pieces right now, so that's why I'm not stressing it. I am using Slinger, like I said, with Bloodthirst, Careful Aim, Fury, Superiority, and Unseen Dynamism. Honestly, this build is really sick. Also, like I said, very, very good for none other than Vanguard. So Vanguard, Challenge Rifts, and it's a good time. So Mount Banks is a good one for me. I'm gonna go ahead and lock that, put that in there. Do I already have a Shalbass neck? I thought I did, but I don't. So you can see I'm just prioritizing getting all of the different pieces I want, and then I'll reorganize them down here at the bottom once I get all the ones that I want, and then we'll be actually get a nice little lift in combat rating, because again, I'm still utilizing the older set gems. So that's it for the video, guys. Let me know what you guys think of the build. I absolutely love it. I have zero issues with it, except for that one Challenge Rift effect that makes it so you basically just want to do primary attacks, but then you should do a primary attack build and just keep it in your armory, and then switch it out, switch your loadout when you can to that, and then bam, you'll be good. So that's it for today's video, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Love you. See you later. Bye.